Do you love batiks? Do you love textiles? Do you like to travel? Because if you said yes to any of those, you're going to love this video. I had the wonderful opportunity to travel to Singapore and Indonesia and indulge all three. We met incredible people, we ate food that we can't get at home, and of course, we found fabric, which we fondled and purchased. So stick with me, and I'll show you how to do it. Hi, I'm Karen Brown of Just Get It Done Quilts. I give you tips, tricks, and strategies to help you make the quilt that you want to make. And if you like what you see, please click that subscribe button. And last November, I had the absolute privilege and joy of traveling again with RGE Travels and 38 wonderful people on an unforgettable textile-filled adventure through Singapore, Java, and Bali. And like most modern adventures, it started with a plane ride, a very long plane ride, as Singapore is on the other side of the world from me. The last time I was in Singapore was about 40 years ago, and it has changed so much. Last time, this building was a post office. Now it's an absolutely stunning Fullerton Hotel and our home for the next 4 days. My traveling companion Joanne and I decided to reward ourselves immediately with a high tea down in the lobby, because honestly, after a long flight like that, we felt we needed one. And if you're not familiar with this part of the world, Singapore is a small island nation located at the southern tip of the Malay Peninsula in Southwest Asia. It lies just north of the equator between the Indian Ocean and the South China Sea, and is surrounded by Malaysia and Indonesia. And this region consists of over 18,000 islands in an area about the size of the USA. The tour officially began the next evening. This is when strangers become traveling companions and where the excitement begins to buzz. There is a lot to see in Singapore, and we packed a lot in, including the gardens by the bay and their two conservatories, the Flower Dome and the Cloud Forest. And it was here that I met my first T-Rex and Brachiosaurus. It was stunning, it was cool, and it gave you an amazing view of the harbor. Hard to believe this was all built on reclaimed land. Then we had high tea at the Raffles Hotel, the birthplace of the Singapore sling. It was classic, elegant, and very civilized. And most of us did a night trip to the zoo. After a great show where the animals showed off their nighttime skills, it was off for a ride through the animal paddocks. And if you didn't know, there are no fences at the Singapore Zoo, only ditches and moats. I looked down once and there was a tapir, so close that I could touch it. But we were here for the textiles. So of course we visited the Peranakan Museum. Peranakan is the local Chinese culture that descended from the first waves of southern Chinese settlers to the region. They have a distinct language, traditions, and textiles, and they are famous for this amazing beadwork. On shoes, on hats, on scarves, these beads are attached one at a time. And some of us also checked out the Asian Civilization Museum. They had an exhibit on games, and we found patchwork and embroidery everywhere. And they had this really interesting display showing the many different cultures on the nearby islands. And the jewelry was mounted at an angle so that if you just stood back, you could see how it was worn. On a morning off, Joanne and I braved the subway and discovered this textile pop-up near the university. This woman was working with students on a resist dying project. Using chords and words, they were able to describe some of the challenges they were facing, which in turn enabled them to speak about them. And funny, even when you go to the other side of the world, there's still a Tim Hortons. Our last stop on our Singapore trip was to the top of the Marina Bay Sands Hotel. And one of my favorite parts of traveling is when I get to meet in person some of the makers that I've had on my podcast. And I was so pleased that Amira Amiruddin was able to travel down from Malaysia and join us for dinner. The view was absolutely amazing, and once the sun set, it only got better. And then it was on to the island of Java and Yogyakarta. And you know that my eyes are always on high alert for textiles. This was a display in the airport of the many different weaving styles and patterns from so many of the Indonesian islands. And here we stayed at the Plantaran Heritage Borobudur. And that afternoon, we dove straight into a batik workshop at our hotel. And there's nothing like learning batik from people who have done it for generations. And yes, I now have a new appreciation for every batik fabric that I've ever touched. Once we figured out how to get to the floor, we were all given a hoop with a piece of fabric and a stylus to apply a fine strip of wax. Now that may sound straightforward and easy, but between trying to be accurate, trying to keep our wax warm, but still be quick about it, it was challenging, and there were often blobs of wax to show for it. But once it was dyed, we were thrilled with the results. Now, our reason for being here in this part of Java was the Borobudur. This UNESCO World Heritage Site is the largest Buddhist monument in the world, built from over 2 million stone blocks and adorned with thousands of relief patterns. It was built in the 9th century, but it was abandoned by the 14th. Then in 1814, the English governor found it, buried under years and years of volcanic ash. Look at all these carvings. There's 9 levels of them built from the local volcanic stone. We noticed that many of the Buddha's heads were missing, and our guide told us that they were often stolen by foreigners. Then we realized that maybe some of them are sitting in our own museums back home. And that day just happened to be my birthday, which meant a lunch with old and new friends while celebrating in one of the most extraordinary places on earth. Everyone was very good to me. Some lovely cards, this special crown, and this amazing red velvet cake. Then it was on to Ubud, Bali, a beautiful spot up in the center of the island. We had our second batik class here, but this time we used stamps dipped in wax to make our designs. And we had several stops to choose from. It was so interesting to see how everyone approached their design differently. After stamping, we applied dye to those areas not covered in wax. And we just had to trust the process, as the dyes we were putting on looked very different in color than the chart said. Then one by one, they were placed in steaming hot water, and the magic happened. Honestly, watching each reveal with the oohs and ahs was one of my favorite parts of the entire trip. The results were just stunning, and the colors were so vibrant. We had a number of opportunities to shop for textiles, traditional prints, batiks, and ikats. Ikat is where the weft threads are pre-dyed in a pattern of several colors. Then the threads are wound onto a skein and then onto a shuttle, and then woven on the loom. This technique is not exact, so the edges of the patterns can be soft or blurry. We were able to see some ikat weavers make the cloth, and now we can appreciate how long this process takes. and I was lucky enough to find some in my favorite colors. And although I did not purchase any batiks, I did purchase a number of sarongs and other fabrics in their traditional prints that I hope to make some garments out of. We had excursions to see a number of workshops in Saluk village. The first was silversmithing. This business has been in the owner's family for over 3 generations. The second was a woodworking shop. Again, multi-generation family owned. So many beautiful woods, lots of mahogany, teak, and hibiscus. Some I had never heard of, like sapodilla, used in these little spatulas. We also went to the store Threads of Life. The aim of this store is to promote local textiles. Women do the majority of making across Indonesia. Getting money into the hands of women has been proven all around the world to be the best way to ensure household welfare. It also promotes the passing on of traditional weaving patterns, and the use of natural dyes promotes a sustainable relationship with the land. Now, this store was not cheap, but since the store only buys the best of the best from these communities, it promotes better workmanship. I purchased this pillow for my slow sewing chair, and this webbing I'm going to make some gifts out of. I really enjoyed talking to the young staff and hearing their excitement about the various weaving groups on different islands and the future of Indonesian textiles. We also did some sightseeing here too. We had lunch on the edge of a volcano, Mount Batur. Technically still active, but it hasn't blown since the year 2000. We tried some Lopi Luwak coffee, and while not exactly my favorite, it had the fastest caffeine hit that I've ever had. We visited the Ubud Royal Palace and the Ubud Art Market, overflowing with silk scarves, woven bags, hats, and treasures just waiting to come home with us. Then we had our last batik workshop. I was so impressed observing everyone and how they incorporated everything that we had learned in the first 2 batik classes and applied them here. We had a much bigger piece of fabric, so it took a fair bit of time to do it. It was so soft, and I was told that it had some kapok in it, which I had never heard before. It comes from the fruit of the kapok tree, and the fiber is extracted from the seed pods after it dries. The fibers are not as strong as cotton, so they are often woven together. Our last evening in Ubud ended with dinner and a traditional Balinese dance performance, where movement, costume, and textiles come together in storytelling. Then we headed south, and we stopped in Kelangkung, the former royal capital of Bali. And then it was on to the nearby bazaar for more fabric shopping. Our last days of the trip were spent down on the beach. We had a day to relax, swim in the sea, have a massage, or do more fabric shopping. Our last night was just wonderful. We had dinner on the beach at sunset and saying goodbye to our new friends. After we ate, we saw a traditional performance, fire, rhythm, and storytelling under the stars. A perfect way to end the trip. My thanks to Ray and John and our tour guides who took my idea, maybe we should do an Indonesian textile tour, and made it a reality. They worked so hard before, during, and after to make sure that we were all taken care of. We were up very early to catch our flight home. It was over 25 hours. And the funny way that time works when you're traveling east, after 25 hours, we arrived home on the same day that we left, and with snow on the ground. Truly making this all an adventure of a lifetime. And we are looking forward to new adventures in 2026. We have a cruise through Korea and Japan in May, and we have an amazing Christmas market cruise planned for early December. You can find more information on all my events on my events page on my website. Take care, and I will see you next time.